Just and welcome to the Mary D. Welch Show.
Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here. It's been a week. Can you believe that? A whole week has gone by. But here we are back again. And I am so excited to be here with you because, we have a special guest. We have a special guest, and we're bringing her on right now. I'm actually sending over to my producer. And, eventually we'll get all the kinks out. Believe me. Um, I'm doing it sitting right over now. Okay, just a minute. Whoops. Here we go. But I'm sending this over because, oops. Here we go. This motivates. I should put it in the chat. Uh, Here we go. I think it's at Gmail. I think it's Gmail, Brian. I'm not for sure. .com. I think that's it. I'm doing it. I'm doing everything at the same time. Anyway, let me get going, people. Sorry about that. We're trying to get, I think it's Jewel Motivates at Gmail, Brian. But I'll double check that for you. I have to take a deep breath. You guys, Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about, we'll be bringing our guest speaker on today. Her name is Jill Diamond Taylor, and I will tell you some things about her. It's at AOL. I'm sorry, Brian. I'll put it down here for you. Here it is. Here we go. At AOL. That's what is missing. It's me. So you guys have to be patient. And one of these days you're gonna get on with me and I will be doing just fine. But right now, we're still trying to get the little kinks out. But we are definitely honored to have Jewel Diamond Taylor, who is our guest today. She is a world-renowned motivational speaker. She's actually more than that. She comes to all of us to encourage each and every one of us to be the best person we can be. I heard of Jewel years ago. I mean, when I met her, I told her, I said, I'm already a fan. I've been a fan of yours for years. I already had her books. This was long before I met her. And then when I did get a chance to meet her and get to know her, she's not just a motivational speaker. She's a friend. I would tell you she's a friend. So I'm definitely honored to have Jewel Diamond Taylor on the show today. But until she makes it in, I did want to give you a chance. Those of you are familiar with one of the books that came out, this one. I don't think I talk about saying no nicely that much, but I wanted to introduce this to people that haven't had a chance to see this. It is on Amazon. This book. It really there's a story. There's a story behind all the books, but this one, the story is based on me. It's based on me. I did not know how to say no, so I thought if I struggle with this, other people must struggle with it too, and that's how saying no nicely came to be. And I learned how to say no. Really, it came out of a situation on my job, and someone came to me and asked me to do something which was not my job, and I said no in a way. The person was not offended. Nothing. It left no residue of bad feelings. You know how we get our feelings hurt, or as they say, we get all in our feelings. The person wasn't in their feelings. They felt fine. I felt fine. Everybody was okay. Now, I don't know who had to do the assignment, but it wasn't me. It was like I was already feeling overburdened. So I learned how to say no nicely. This book, I'm happy to say, I've had so many people contact me about this and say, I've used the techniques you have in here and they work. That's the key. It wasn't just that I wrote it, but it doesn't work. If you go on Amazon right now, you can still get it. It is in the digital version. It will be in paperback version, but you can get the Kindle version right now. And I tried to make it very affordable. So that if you would like to get this information, you can. But those of you that want to learn how to say no nicely, how do you say no? And it talks about, let me tell you how intense the book is. It tells you about how to say to your boss, to your family, to your friends. How do you do it nicely? That's the key. Because you don't want to get to where you get, you're not invited to things and people don't like how you say. Because think about it. Nobody likes for people to say, it's not really what you say, but it's how you say it. That's very real. You don't want somebody to say no ugly to you. You don't want them, you don't want to say no to somebody else ugly either. You want to be kind when you're saying no. You don't want to be, with the attitude, with the head going and everything else going. You don't want that. Hi there. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Oh, I appreciate that. I do. I really do. So I would really encourage you. If you're interested, you can get the book. It's on Amazon. All the books I'm showing you are on Amazon. That was the second book that I wrote and published, was Saying No Nicely. That's the first book that I wrote for adults. So adults that needed to know how to say no nicely, that was the very first book that I wrote for them. But let me tell you the story behind that. I wrote that book in 2017, so 3 years ago, but I didn't publish it. Let me tell you why. Because the first book I wrote, those of you that bought the book, I can't thank you enough, and that was There's a Rocket in My Pocket. It did so well, I was afraid to put a book out for adults. I said, well, this book did so well, what if my other book doesn't do well? So what did I do? I kept it to myself. I didn't publish. I had written the book. The book was written, manuscript written, everything, but I didn't publish it. When Kobe Bryant's helicopter went down, I published that book. The reality of, here it is, this young, vibrant man and his family. Oh, you definitely have to get it, Dr. Carter. So I would tell this, to see that young man and his family, his daughter, and all the other people on the helicopter, not just Kobe Bryant, but all the other lives that were lost. The people I knew in my heart, they had every intention of living. They had every intention of making it from point A to point B. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But the reality of it hit me. Of you've written the book. Not think about this. I didn't have to write the book. The book was written. And I still had not published it. And out of fear, to be honest, out of fear that it wouldn't do well. Not out of fear that it would do well. I was afraid it wouldn't do well. And where was all that coming from? That came from me. That didn't come from anybody but me. And I finally, that book was published within, I want to say, maybe it wasn't even a month. It wasn't even a month later the book was published. That's how that affected me. It affected everything in my very being, as they say. And then, guess what happened after it's published? It's just done well. It's done well. Every review has been 5 stars. I haven't looked today, but I remember looking a couple of days ago, and I can't thank you guys enough. And I say you guys because I can't go in there and buy all those books. And they definitely won't let me write 5 reviews. I can't do it. The one thing I say about Amazon, they are very conscientious about everything. Every single review was written by a person that, they're tracking what computer wrote it. It's that kind of thing. So they know who's writing and who isn't and all. I have no way of knowing. And many times I don't even know the people. So it's really interesting to me that people, I'm just so appreciative of them not only reading it, but applying it to something that they found a need for. And it really shows me that, yes, there was a need. I wasn't the only one that's struggling with saying no. That was a struggle for me for a long time. And now it's a book that I can share with my tips in there for other people. If you're having that same struggle, then you would be able to get to the book too. It's you can use those tips. In fact, one of the ladies that was part of the team that was editing, the editing team, she read the book. She told me this. Her name is Sheila. And Sheila said, Mary, I read your book over, and I was, she was reading it like anyone else. But like a day or so later, At her job, a supervisor came to her and was bringing work that was not her work. Anybody know? If anybody's on a job, we know about that. And she said she used the tip from the book. I tell you, and I'm laughing because she called me and she was so full. She said, I can't believe it. Because what they did is took it and they gave it to somebody else. That's all. It was going to be her responsibility. Like she said, she was already doing the work of 3 or 4 people, and she did not need one more thing. And to just learn how to say no nicely and stay in their boss's good graces. I don't care what anybody says. People, it's easier to work at a job when you're in your boss's good graces than it is to work there when you're not, because it makes it hard. It makes as they say, a hostile work environment. And I've been in one of those too, where the boss was doing everything. They did everything but fire me. That's the only thing they didn't do. They did everything but that. But they were making my life a living, you know what? But I would tell anybody when I was going through the one thing I did, because you want to leave, you want to do everything. There's nothing you don't want to do when you're faced with these kinds of situations. But at the same time, I at the time I was going through it, I couldn't leave. I wasn't in a position to leave, to go, and maybe some of you are. Some of you can. Some people can. I wasn't. I was so far in. I was too far in to leave, but not far enough to retire. Anybody know where that place is? You're right. In betwixt and between. That's where I was. So I couldn't retire. And okay. I don't know if she's watching the show. But if you're seeing it, Jewel, it's coming from Brian Cochran. That's the email you're looking for. It's not mine. I'm sorry. It's from, if you're seeing the show, I may have to text her so you guys know. Do you know how this goes, people? This this may be a way of life. So, but yes. So I'm gonna let her know the text is coming from Brian, or the email. I think it's the email. Okay. That's what it is. The email is coming from Brian. So it's coming from. So she's not looking for that. But anyway, so I'm sharing with you guys because there may be somebody out here going through these things that I'm talking about. That's one reason. Oh, hi, Selena. How you doing, sweetie? The email is coming from Brian. Okay, so I'm going to tell you. Let me tell her now. There we go. There, that means. But so I just wanted to share that with you guys, because if there's somebody and you're dealing with situations, I can tell you what I've done. And I'll tell you the truth on this. What I had to learn to do, I had to get on my knees and pray. And those of you that say, oh, I do pray, Mary, I said, no, you didn't hear what I said. I said, get on my knees and pray. Because sometimes I think when we pray and we're not on our knees, it may not that you're not praying, don't get me wrong, but when you get on your knees and pray, that's when you really mean for that prayer to get through. You don't mean to have a prayer that doesn't make it through. You want to make it through. But I learned that's where I think in my world, that's where I go. It's on my knees in prayer. Nothing against standing up, walking, and everything else. But I think it's that focus. That focus. And that's what I truly believe for me. And those of you, if you're not a believer, that's your choice. Nobody can make you believe, but I can tell you what I've experienced in life. I am a believer. I know no one has to convince me of that. Nobody, because I've been through things that people even to this day. I have friends that say, you need to write this down. I'm like, no. I tell it is too painful to remember. It is too painful to write down. I've been through those kind of situations. We just go, oh my God, did you really go through that? Yes. And some people, I guess I haven't talked about it much. It's been a while. I just haven't shared it with you guys. I guess that's it. There's some people know. Some people, the ins and outs and everything. But I think what I try to do too is stay positive and to move on. I really do. I try to keep positive. I try to listen to something positive every single day. Every single day, I try to listen to something positive, or read something positive. But just stay positive. I do that, and I'm not going to tell you that that's always easy, depending on what's going on in your life. It may not be easy, but I can tell you this, I would rather stay positive than not. That's what I've learned. Because whatever, it's like a snowball, I think. That's how I look at it, or something that's building up. Whatever, if you're going into the negative, then you're building up into the negative. It'll keep moving in that direction. I had to learn these lessons, but what I've learned, if I'm going into the positive, it's like the positive energy connects, and it keeps moving in that direction of the positive. So I've learned to just stay positive. Just try it as much as I can, to the best of my ability, and stay positive. Keep drawing positive energy to me each and every day. And I just take it one day at a time. There is no quick fix. It's what I've learned. Life is one day at a time. It really, really is. But I think sometimes what we do, we borrow trouble. Anybody know what that means when you borrow trouble? That means you're living in today, but you're worried about tomorrow. That's how you borrow trouble. You know, you can only live today. Now, tomorrow is another day. But when you start worrying about it, concerned about it, all into what's going to happen tomorrow, all of that energy can be better used today, the day you're living in. So I take these. Oh, okay. You said it's tomorrow? Okay. Oh, there's an S on motivates. I'm sorry, Brian. Put an S on motivates. I tell you, that's what I get for being in a rush. As we get the kinks out, and hi, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to say hi to the person. I think that was Elaine. I think I caught Elaine's name. I hope it's Elaine. Oh, I thought it was Elaine. Hi, Elaine. How you doing, sweetie? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I tell you, you guys, I'm telling you, I tell you, you have no idea what it means when I see your names pop up. And those of you that want to like it and share it, I can't thank you enough, because I can't see who's on. It's just like watching TV. I never see who's on. But I get the text messages. Thank you guys for sending the text messages, the emails. I can't thank you guys enough. And then I've even gotten some phone calls after the show. Some people, they saw the replay and they called, and they just like, they're so proud of the show and so glad, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I think Brian heard me. I said put the S on motivates. But I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a person, which many of you are, I'm sure, and you ever want to write a book, okay, you got it. Thank you, Brian. And you ever want to write a book, let me tell you guys about that. Because that's my go-to. I love, especially my children's books. I can't stress to you enough how important it is to write it down. I can't stress enough, because I hear, and I'm kidding people, I hear this daily. Mary, I got an idea in my head. And every time I hear it, I just want to and the first thing I say is, did you write it down? Because all of these ideas, and I talk to you guys, this is how I write. You guys get to see my notes. Well, I'm going to show you. I'll show you the book. This is what I write on. Just one of these. That's it. Nothing spectacular, nothing big. I just keep them. I have tons of notebooks. But the reason I do it is because once I write it down, whatever I do with that story, I don't have to worry about thinking about it anymore. That story is written down. Now I can go back to it. I can edit it. I can do whatever I want to do. But if I have to remember that story, I may or may not remember it. That's why it's so important. Those of you that are authors, and many of you are, you may not even know you are, because I didn't know I was. I didn't know I was a writer. Nope. That's another story. This is like the story for another day. But I didn't know I was a writer. And now look, the books, they're just popping out everywhere. I have 2 books ready to come out. They'll be coming out soon as the graphic art is finished. I've talked to you guys about them. One is Obi, the pink whale with the yellow tail. That's another children's book that's coming out. And the second one is Stuck in the Elevator, based on when me and my husband were stuck in the elevator in Brazil. That's turned into a children's book. So I'm saying that to say you have situations, experiences that you can turn into children's books, but you have to be paying attention. If you're not paying attention, you can't do it. And if you don't write it down, you definitely can't do it. So you have to take the time to write your story down. Once you write it down, now we have a story. Now we have a book. But you can't have it until you write it down. But once you do, then I can tell you right now, give me a call and we can talk. We can talk. Once you write that story down, and we can take it from point A to point B. You say, okay, okay, Selena. I'm sorry, Selena. I will make sure. I will make sure after the broadcast I'll give you a call, Selena. So write your story down. Let's start there. And then we can I call it massaging it. We massage your story once you write it down. That's my email. You can send me the email, Mary at First Book Academy. Because the Academy, oh, I didn't even get it. I haven't even talked to you guys about the Academy. Oh, the Academy is wonderful. Those that have been this past weekend, I held a couple of them. And people that had not even started, think about this. They had the story in their head and they had not written it down. By the end of the Academy, that was this weekend, we had the story, think about it, they had the story written down. I helped them with getting their the graphics. We worked on getting the copyright, all of that by coming to the Academy. By coming to the Academy. Mm-hmm. They were elated. They said the story had been in their minds, some people for 10 years, and they had never written it down. He'd been sitting right there. They would wake up in the middle of the night, and they don't know why they didn't write it down. They have no idea. But at the end of that workshop, we had their story written down, and they were ready to get that. Well, they couldn't get the copyright right then, but we're close to getting the copyright. We sure are. I'm helping them with getting their artists, hiring the illustrators to illustrate their stories. Just they have a book. They have a book. They have a legacy, because that's really what a book is. It's a legacy. The books I just showed you I showed you the one. The other one, which is on Amazon right now, is this one. Have you seen the red elephant? This is the one on Amazon as we speak. It is the cutest book, I tell you. I say that because one of my best friends, really, her granddaughter saw. She told me what her granddaughter said. And she said when her granddaughter said, there's no such thing as a red elephant. And I told her, that's the response I wanted. She's like, you're kidding. I go, nope. I said, a 2-year-old, that is critical thinking skills. That is huge. She had to think that. She didn't just come up with that. I said she had to make an observation, and she had to think about what does an elephant really look like. So she knew the difference between a real elephant. She knew the difference between a red elephant. I said, those are critical thinking skills. And so she made that analogy between those two. So the two children's books are Have You Seen the Red Elephant? And this one it's not on Amazon, but it'll be coming out soon. And that's Obi, the pink whale with the yellow tail. This one isn't up yet. I know. I get so many, they're like, when are you going to put that book out? Don't worry. Obi's coming out soon. For sure, he should be out by Christmas. I can tell you that now, just so you know. For those of you that are interested in when Obi's coming out. And Obi, as I talked about before, it's about rejection. Obi is about rejection. And nobody likes to be rejected. Nobody. But that's what Obi is all about, rejection. But it's cute, though. It's not. It ends on a good note. Let me tell you that now. All of my books end on a good note. You'll never read a book of mine that doesn't end on a good note. It always has to end positively, because I'm thinking in my mind, what if a child is reading this, or someone's reading to a child right before they go to bed? I don't want that child to have negative feelings. I want them to have positive. I want them to have the warm fuzzies. We all know the warm fuzzies. when you feel, ooh, you just, oh. Because I tell you, I loved it when my children were little and you read a story to them and you kiss them goodnight and they turn over and they go into the warm fuzzies. Oh, he said maybe it should come from my email address. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But anyway, and this is one, oh, you guys, I cannot tell you this journal. The Big Black Journal has done so well. I am so excited about this because let me show you what the inside is. Just so you know, this is the inside. You get to write what you want to write in here. I don't write what I want to write. You write what you want. What is going on in your life that is it can be about your family, it can be about your friends, it can be whatever you want it to be. Oh, hi Ellis. How you doing, sweetie? That's what the Big Black Journal is. The Big Black Journal, you get to write whatever you want. Like I mentioned to you guys, one lady, her aunt is putting the family recipes. Think about that. These are recipes that are going back over 100 years. And she's putting them in. She said they have them on little pieces of paper, but nobody has taken the time to put it in one place. And they're putting it in the journal. Another lady, she sent me an email. She said, Mary, me and my granddaughter, I'm writing something and my granddaughter writes something underneath it that we're sharing. You know what that is? That's a legacy. Because I would give the world to have seen something that my grandparents, that what they were thinking, how they were thinking when they were either small or growing up or any of those things. I know not too long ago, I went on Ancestry.com and I saw the census with my mother's name. She was 3. And I saw the census with my father's name when he was 1. That I cannot tell you what they did to see them as little children. Here they were. I mean, I've only known them to be adults. So to see them on the census and they were 1 and 3, I just thought that was the cutest thing. To see their names and to see all the people in their family who I know those are my aunts and uncles. That's all I've ever known them to be. But to see them listed as 5 and 4 and 7 and 10 and my great grandmother and all of it was just fascinating to me. It's just fascinating because I'm named after 2 of my grandmothers, so I saw their names and how old they were, and it was just it affected me. Just seeing the reality of this, and that was based on the census. That's what the basis of that was. So I can tell you, ladies, gentlemen, you're still in for a treat now. We haven't. I'm not giving up on. I know you said the lady. Don't worry, she's still coming. Jewel Diamond Taylor is still coming. We all know how this goes. Those of you that know that I wish I could say things go right all the time, but they don't. They don't go right all the time. At least not for me. They don't. But it's just like I said, we're still getting the kinks out. And once we get the kinks out, then we can go on. So what we're doing is getting the kinks out here, and we're going to send her over that. We're sending it to her, and make sure she can get in. But I tell you, you're still in for a treat. The lady is just classy, and she is somebody that I really admire. I have, like as I said before, admired her a few years, and have read her books for as long as I can remember. I mean, it's been for a minute. I just said, as I told her, we did a podcast last year. We did a podcast together, and I told her then. I don't think she really knew at the time that I had been a fan. I don't think so. I think I expressed it to her then. I said, "Do you know I'm a fan?" She goes, "No, I didn't know that." I said, "Well, I am. I am definitely a fan." But as I regress. On the books, keep in mind on the Big Black Journal, you can do it, you can write whatever you want in that book. Some people are using it to write poetry. I have another person, they sent me a text and they said they're writing their songs in there and they're leaving their songs for their family. It's so many things. Whatever you want to write, you can write what's going on in our society because we're living history. We're living it. We're not just experiencing it, we're living it. This is a history that it'll be here, it'll be in the history books. That's how important this history is. It'll be right here in the history books. It's not going anywhere. I can tell you that. But how is this affecting you? That's what I want you to um, come to, for instance. That's why I wrote the journal. How is the history of what we're living? How are you being affected by it? What is your family, your take on it, on what's going on in society? Or do you have any place that you're leaving your feelings for the next generation? Because I know you may not think it, but they want to know. They're going to want to know, what were you thinking about? As we know, we're going into a presidential election, but really it's more to it than that. That's only one thing that we're looking at. Um, I don't know about your city. In our city, we also have a mayor's race that's going on right now that is really important to our city. We have different propositions that are on the ballot that's also going on right now. So it's not just one thing. Let me tell you that now. It's more to it than that. So I know it's um it's a lot of different things. But how do you feel about it? Are you confused by anything that's going on, or are I know I don't know how you can be in this society and not be aware. I think that's impossible. But we have so many things going on at the same time. We have the pandemic. I'm in Southern Cal, so we have the fires that are in, I think more Northern Cal, but we've had fires here too in Southern Cal. We have what's going on with uh, Black Lives Matter and systemic racism. We have, I mean, the political climate. It feels like if we get one more thing going on in society, it's just so much. And normally, I think as a society, we only deal with like maybe one or maybe two. But as a society, very rarely I think that we have all of these things going on. We have hurricanes. It's like they've never seen before they're saying due to climate change. So we have a lot going on in our lives, and not to mention whatever's going on in our personal lives. So how are you dealing with that? How are you? Um, what is that? Where are you putting that information? Okay, okay, you can let her in. All right. And guess who made it in? Yay! Hi, Jewel. How are you? I don't think you have sound. Hold on a second. I have sound. Can you hear me? I don't know. Brian? Okay. Can you hear me, Jewel?
I can hear you.
Okay, now I can hear you. I can hear.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yay!
Yay! Technology, we're going to figure it out.
I know, I know. I like to, and I was giving you an introduction earlier, but I'm gonna do an introduction so you can hear it. And that is, this is the wonderful, beautiful, and lovely Jewel Diamond Taylor. And I was telling the audience, you're not just a motivational speaker, you're a friend.
Uh,
I've known you for many years now, and
yes.
I even told the audience how I was a fan before I ever met you.
Oh, my goodness.
So it wasn't, but meeting you has definitely has increased that. So I can just tell you now, you're an encourager and you're a blessing. You're a wonderful woman of God. And I'd like to welcome you to the Mary D. Welch Show.
I'm so proud of you, Mary. Just to watch you just evolving and stepping out there and using your gifts and writing your books and all your different
Mm,
platforms to just inform and empower people. I'm so honored to be a guest on your show.
so thank you, Jewel. Thank you. I know you. You as I know you speak to so many people, and it's always positive. It's always good energy. That's what I would say. Always. What do you have on your schedule going for us? What you doing right now? Since we're in the pandemic.
Well, I have more time with my grandson. In case anybody didn't know, I have a wonderful grandson. His name is Cody.
Mhm.
And I am doing a lot more since 2009, Mary. I took advantage of this technology and I started doing what I call my interviews, basically what we're doing right now. But I was doing them face to face and just interviewing people. And I love learning about different lifestyles, different talents, different missions that people are on. I love learning how people are resilient in the midst of change and pain. And so, with this free time, not traveling, I'm just doing more. Every week, I'm doing it. Tomorrow, I'll be interviewing a senator in this climate that you're talking about, this political climate. I want to kind of put my hand have her put her hand on the pulse and let us know what she's thinking, and to encourage everyone to get out and vote. So every week, I'm basically doing what we're doing right now is zooming
Yes. Yes.
and still writing.
Okay. All
Uh-huh.
right.
And still
All right.
counseling. I do a lot of counseling, a lot of coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and that has picked up tremendously because a lot of people are not adapting well, and
Mm-hmm.
life is still moving on. People are still getting divorced. People are still looking for jobs. People are still burying loved ones. People are still dealing with addictions. People are still having faith fatigue and relationship issues. So I do a lot of counseling and coaching on those topics. And then on the coaching side, I'm getting a lot of people like yourself that are becoming new authors and people that want to launch out into the speaking career. So I do some coaching with that also,
All right.
as well as my Women on the Grow, my nonprofit organization. How could I forget them? My wonderful tribe, that
Um,
they're so awesome. And we do our outreach to the community, embracing and encouraging women going through hardship. So we do a lot of that.
all right. I know too, because I know that you, like you said before, you were traveling quite a bit, so you're
Hmm.
doing more home base.
Yeah.
And do you do retreats virtually and conferences virtually also?
I've been doing retreats since 19, I think 85 or 86. I never missed a year. This is the first year. And I'm just not quite sure if I could transfer that same type of energy virtually. I've been asked to do it. I haven't said no. I'm thinking about how could it be very creative? How could it really make an impact? I mean, every single Sunday for a couple of months now, I do a Sunday kind of a connection on Sunday just to get inspired, and we talk and we share and we network. But to do a retreat, I'm not quite sure how I can pull that off and get the same type of impact. And whew, it's such a wonderful
No.
thing having retreats. I love them.
Oh.
So I do give the women an opportunity for us to connect through the technology.
Hmm.
Hmm.
What about, have you done conferences?
Oh, yeah. I've done conferences, I've done training. I had an interesting invitation to speak to the NBA, the basketball, the mothers of the NBA basketball players. I've done several organizations where they did kind of like a sister check in, and they wanted me to talk to the women about adjusting to the pandemic, talking about how to cope in a healthy way, learning because I wrote the book Shift Happens. And
Mm-hmm.
so I love sharing those pearls of wisdom on how to deal with life because life is in constant change. And the pandemic just helped us to even further realize that we are not in control, that life, yes, it is unpredictable, and that a lot of us have been living with this myth that we are in charge, that we're in control. The only thing we're in control of is how we respond, what we think, what we believe, how we treat other people and how we honor ourselves. That's the only thing we can do. And so I think this pandemic has been like a wake up call for many of us. And I'm glad to see that people have been reactivated to understand the power of voting. I think that that's something that has happened. And also, I think people are realizing the importance of appreciating the little things that we took for granted. You know, the liberty that we had just to go and do and eat and shop and go to the movies
Mhm.
and cruises. This year was my 50th wedding anniversary, and we had a cruise scheduled for family and friends. We had to cancel that. And so, um,
Mhm.
a lot of changes that we've had to adapt to. And you realize that you can do it. You can
Right.
be resilient. You can do without certain things you thought you had to have.
Right. Right. Well, I know too. Maybe I don't know if this is true or not because I know not only are adults being affected by this, but children are. Have you
I
found that
know
that kids? Have you had to counsel any children um, or the mother
that
with the?
that's not my lane. That's not in my wheelhouse. But you know, it's amazing you said that, Mary, because today in my prayer time, that was what came up. It's like I need to be praying for these children because I've talked to a few mothers
Mhm.
and they said they can see there's a difference in the children's personality, in their attitude. They're
Mhm.
missing being with their peers. They're missing
Mhm.
playing outside. Um,
Mhm.
I have a female Black doctor, and I was asking her what her thoughts were, and she was saying that I said, I said, is it true that the children are not as susceptible to the COVID as adults? She said, no, they are just as susceptible. And I don't think the children should be going back to school. And she said, it's just heartbreaking to see how it's affecting them emotionally. Children need that social interaction.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, and I also feel for the parents who are locked down and they're having to do homeschooling. It's not easy for all parents to do that. They don't all have the
That's
capacity and the stamina or even the time if they're still going to work or if they're working at home.
I don't envy them. Those parents
No,
they work from home and they're schooling their children. I don't.
it's a
I
lot.
it is a lot. It is
Hmm.
definitely a lot because there's no break.
There's no break.
Before they had school, that was their break,
Yeah.
and now that's not there. But then I actually have heard people say it's drawn the family closer.
Yeah, I think there's two sides to all of this. And if we could look for the silver lining, Mary, I think that is a silver lining. That under the right circumstances, with the right type of mentality and outlook, a parent can say, okay, we're going to get some structure. But we have time to make some memories together. And even the children may not realize it at the moment, but I believe one
Mhm.
day they're going to look back at this time and say, wow, I remember that. And I got
Mhm.
to know, my sisters and brothers and my mother and dad, or even my grandparents. There was some
Mhm.
bonding. So we do have to look for that silver lining. There are going to be some setbacks, but I also believe that, it's with anything. There's
Mhm.
always
Mhm.
a downside and there's always an upside. And I just tend to be an eternal optimist. I always look for what's the good, what's the
Mhm.
positive.
Mhm. Because I've also heard too, unfortunately, that I don't want to say the divorce rate is up, but that because I've also heard people say that they were going to get a divorce and now they work things out during the pandemic. So it is like you said, it is, it's not one sided. It
Yeah.
is definitely not one sided. You have both things going
Well,
on.
that's what pressure does. Pressure, I'm called I was named Jewel Diamond because my father was a gemologist, and the one thing I learned from his books is that what makes a diamond is the pressure, but if there's too much pressure, it can be crushed.
Mm,
So the pressure that we're under, either we're going to be polished and the best will come through and God's light and love will come shining through us. I see people having many acts of compassion. There's so many nonprofits like myself. We're reaching out and we're really being activists and showing kindness. Um, and then there's some people who are under tremendous pressure. They're not going to make it. And this is why I think it's so important that we're always proactive in learning as much as we possibly can. We never know when shift will happen.
Yeah.
And so if we're always on some type of a learning track, building up our faith, building up our social context. I mean, Mary, you and I are connected today because you have very good social skills. You know how to talk to people and connect with people, and I believe that I do too. And I tell people all the time, I feel that the new currency is relationships.
Mm-hmm.
The more you are connected with the right people, you're wealthy because you're not going to know everything, you're not going to have everything, you cannot be everywhere, but if you're connected to the right people, it expands your territory and you're able
Mm-hmm.
to access things and know things and overcome things and be blessed because of the richness of the people in your life. And this is something
Mm-hmm.
I've always worked on. I
Mm-hmm.
can't count how many times I was blessed because of a connection or because I was able to connect somebody and help them. That's the new currency. And there are so many people that were introverts before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so they will continue to be introverts. And there are people like myself. I've always been an extrovert. I've
Mm-hmm.
always reached out to people, and I haven't stopped doing it because of the pandemic. I just do it in a different way.
Right, right. Well, I know too. You have a number that people can call daily, I believe.
All right.
And I'm going to have you leave that number so anyone that would like to hear the positive message every day, this number, and I appreciate. I see. I know about the number, Jewel. Let you.
Yeah, you call that number? Okay.
So you give the number to Brian. He'll put it up there for you. Let's see. And it's a 909 number, isn't it?
No, actually, it's 310
Okay. 310
526
526
2552.
2552. Okay. I mean, and let's see. And
It's
he'll
my
put that
thought
in.
for the day. I've been doing this for so many years. The number has changed a couple of times. Yeah, that's the number right there.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And they can hear the thought for the day, and
Oh,
um,
that's for
they can
day.
also leave their prayer requests. I call back. I send out books. I've gotten several calls already today. People have lost loved ones. I haven't quite a grief ministry since my husband and I lost our son to cancer. That birthed another branch of my ministry, and I'm talking to people who've lost loved ones every week, helping them to walk through that journey,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's through violence or COVID or just natural causes. It's a painful thing to experience. And when you can stand with somebody in that gap and you can be there and you can authentically say, I know how you feel. I mean, I've
Mm-hmm.
lost both my parents, both my in laws, my best friend from years ago, whose name was Jewel, also, and
Mm-hmm.
then our son. So my grandmother died right beside me. So I'm very familiar with that experience. I'm not afraid of it. I've been able to cultivate some great coping skills. It has deepened my faith. It has deepened my gratitude for every single breath and every morning that I wake up. I'm like, thank you, God. Sometimes when I call my sister, I say, I'm still here because I know we laugh about it, but it's a reality that, don't
Mm-hmm.
take this for granted. This is a
No,
day we have never seen before,
that's right.
and
That's
nothing is promised. And so we want to maintain that type of an uh, attitude even after the pandemic. We shouldn't just think, okay, we want everything to go back to normal. I think normal was when we just kind of lived in a lot of denial and had a lot of expectations of people and of life that
mm,
really were not realistic. And so once you stop arguing with reality and once you make your health, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, once you take care of those things in your relationships, those will be your shock absorbers when death knocks on the door, or a car accident, or a bad diagnosis, or a
mm,
layoff, or something that just is troubling and you weren't expecting it. If you've got those shock absorbers, that's what my faith is.
Mm-hmm.
I have fallen down, but I've gotten back up. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so special or whatever. It's because I'm always doing the work. I'm sitting right here in front of a lot of books. I got books all over the place. I'm always reading. I'm always trying to stay in connection with other people and with nature and with God. And
Mm-hmm.
those things have allowed me to have a certain type of a cushion when life is turning and changing and you're like, what's happening now and what's next? It's like, okay, God, I'm ready. Okay, enemy, you can't scare me.
So I do know you have a website also, correct?
Yep, jeweldiamondtaylor.com, and then
Oh.
my womenonthegrow.org. That is my nonprofit outreach, womenonthegrow.org. And I must give a shout out to all of the what we call our sister sewers. And
Mm-hmm.
I am the founder and president, and my actual biological sister, Joy Lewis, is the VP. She is amazing. And we have been able to do so many wonderful things over the years, traveling, producing conferences, producing retreats. She has shown me unconditional love and support since
Oh,
day one.
I
Since
know.
day one. And so
I know, Joyce.
yeah,
Sweet.
yes, yes. But both of my sisters are very sweet. It's just that Joy's life journey, we saw that we were very much in alignment with the purpose and the mission that I had, and she has been amazing. And we're just so proud of what our organization is doing. Women on the Grow. Oh, I tell you, it's just a blessing that we can impact women's lives that are going through breast cancer or homelessness or
Mm.
single parents. Last month, we blessed about 40 nurses on the front line. We blessed them with gift cards, and then we blessed mothers who are raising children with special needs. We give out blankets and water to the homeless. I offer free counseling for women
Mm.
that are going through hardships. We don't want to turn away anybody. And so
Mhm.
we are grateful to our donors that allow me to do that. Every day I'm going to the post office, sending out books and materials and gifts to women because it doesn't take much to put a smile on someone's face to know that you're
Mhm.
thinking about them and that
Mhm.
they're not forgotten.
Oh, that's a
Yeah,
blessing. That's a blessing.
yeah, yeah.
No, too. You have contact with seniors. Are they a part of your tribe?
Well, I'm a senior. I'll be
You don't.
70.
You don't look
I'll
like a.
be I'll be 70 on my next birthday. So yeah, I
Oh, that's
better take care of the
beautiful.
seniors.
Oh, Jay, you're
I'm
beautiful.
officially AARP. Um, but the wonderful thing about it, Mary, is that we have women. Um, I would say the youngest would be in their 30s.
Okay.
So the things, the principles that I'm teaching have nothing to do with age. They're
Mm.
universal principles about setting your goals and finding your purpose and building up your self esteem and finding your voice and navigating those relationships. And so, women that are coming to me from all walks of life are hungry for those type of
Mm.
tools. So, even though I'm a senior, I would say, yeah, there are a lot of seniors in our group, but we believe that it's just a number because we're so full of life and we're still
Uh-huh.
curious and we are resilient and we love traveling and we love laughing, we love praying, we love dancing, we
Mhm.
love coming together. And one of the things that we always say is thank God we're not all going through something at the same time.
Mm.
So we've got divorced women, single women, married women, working women, stay-at-home moms. We've got women that are in corporate America. We've got women that are
Mm.
entrepreneurs. They're authors in our tribe, like you, Mary, that are authors. And it's just great that we can come together. And it's a no drama zone. That's what I love about our tribe. There's no drama. There's no competition. It's just a safe place to land and say, whoo, I need to catch my breath. I need to refuel. I need to recalibrate my life. This is going on and this is going on. And so I'm able to give them some experiences as well as tools so that
Mhm.
they could just get the mud out their wings and deepen their faith and find their voice and know that they are a child of God and they have value.
I
Yeah.
love you. And there's so many people that have been blessed by you, Drew. So many. Because I know you did. At one time, it was the African American
Oh,
women on tour.
oh my gosh. That was amazing. That was life changing. Um, hats off to Maria Dowd, who birthed this wonderful conference that I was on tour for
Mm-hmm.
12 years. First, it started off with one city per year, then it went to three city per year, then it was five city. And I was the mistress of ceremonies. I was the spokesperson. I did seminars. We traveled all crisscross across the nation. I was on stage with Dr. Maya Angelou, Coretta Scott King, Yama Van Zant, Lynn Whitfield, Shirley Caesar, Queen Latifah, ooh, Alice Walker. I can't even name all of these phenomenal women that I was able to meet and to introduce to a room of 1,000 women at that time. Maria Dodd's conference was a trailblazing conference. It was unapologetically for African American women. We had live drumming, we had cultural, ethnic vendors and music and speakers that came to empower us. We had Susan Taylor from Essence Magazine, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Felicia Rashad. I know I met Gladys Knight. Can you imagine little old Jewel Diamond Taylor from Compton, California? Just because I said yes to God, I was able to be on this magical carpet ride for 12 years. Oakland, Philadelphia, New York, Miami, Atlanta, Oakland,
Wow.
Dallas. I am still connected to so many of those women that were in the audience, so many of the women that were workshop leaders. A day doesn't go by that someone doesn't tell me on Facebook, I remember you from that conference, because it was a front running conference. There was no other conference like the African American Women on Tour. It was 3 days. The women came with their daughters, and the daughters would go to their own area, and they for 3 days they would go through a rites of passage. And the women, we would go to workshops, and we'd have lunch, we'd go shopping with the vendors. And on the third day, all those young girls would march out in their African attire, having the experience of sitting at the feet of these amazing mentors that talk to these young girls about college and etiquette and their African American history and their African history, which is two different things.
Right.
They talk to them about issues that young girls may have when it comes to dating and understanding their bodies, and just having a plan and a vision for their lives, and finding their voice and knowing who they were. And those mothers would be crying as these girls would march down like a river to the African drums, and they would uh, be acknowledged for investing in themselves. And our prayer was that they would continue uh, having the experience of being blessed by their elders and their mentors. And it's something that is missing in our community today. Our young boys and young girls need rites of passage. And I feel like what I'm doing for the adult woman is giving them another form of a rites of passage to be able to experience what it is to be loved and respected, and to be taught principles for living,
Mm-hmm.
and to be committed to that, because it's a lifelong journey. We'll never know everything. And the Word of God says we perish because of a lack of information, a lack of knowledge. And so it's not that I don't have all the answers, but I
Mm-hmm.
do thank the Lord that I've been able to be a facilitator. And a facilitator makes it easy. That's what you do. You make the journey and the experience easy. You don't complicate it. You don't make it competitive. You make it easy, no matter what level you're on, that you're able to reach them and help them to wake up to their potential, wake up to their personal power, wake up to possibilities, because we're living longer. I'm living much longer than my mother did. My mother passed of breast cancer, and I'm living many more years than she did. And I have many more options and possibilities than she did or my grandmother did. And so women are learning that through the different passages of their lives that we got to continue learning and growing and shedding skin and letting go of our pain, our shame, our regrets, and know that if God has given you breath another day, you have another opportunity to continue to dream, to shake the dust off your feet and create and produce and prosper and live and dream and serve, because that's how I spell success. Service. How can each of us be of service? And that's what you're doing, Mary. You are serving others. You are sharing through your consciousness, your experiences, your writing, your boldness, your courage to just step out there and say, this is who I am and this is what I do. And I'm telling you, girl, you're just like a mini me, because that's what I did, Mary, 35 years ago.
Oh, well, I
I
tell you,
just stepped
that's,
into my kitchen.
well, I can tell you, Jewel, I can't thank you enough for coming to this show today. You are such a blessing, have always been a blessing, and continue to be a blessing. But I'd like to know if you'd be willing to come back again.
Oh, absolutely, Mary. Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation. You think I'm going to say no? You say I can talk. I can talk and
can
talk and
tell
talk.
you, I do have to. Right now we do have to abide by our time. But I'd like to thank you. God
Yes.
bless you, and we do appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Congratulations, honey. God bless you and stay in the light.
Oh, thank you. And audience, that is the show for today. But we'd like to thank you all for coming on, and we'll see you again on Monday, a week from today, October 26th, I believe. That's it, October 26th. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. And we'll see you again on Monday. Bye-bye.